Hello and good morning. I had kind of a message in my head when I woke up this morning, and it was let your mind fall out your mouth. So then I got thinking, I really do feel like just sitting in front of a camera and talking again for a second. Sorry if it's crooked. Let it be. We're not chasing perfection here, we just want relatability and genuineness and expression. So, don't edit out your burps at people. Anyway, let my mind fall out my mouth. So then I got thinking, well, what can I talk about? I didn't want a particular theme. I want to do the opposite. I want to purposely try to kind of never land fully on a theme and just flow out of it with keeping that line in my head, knowing that it's YouTube. I don't know who you guys are. So there's certain things, there's personal variables I'll have to leave out. But I feel like that still leaves you enough wiggle room to talk about certain things. So the first thing that comes to mind would be, I'm thinking about either artificial intelligence or just the what the F-ness of a lot of things. And this is coming from somebody who I don't sit here and check the news. It makes me feel ill just thinking about it. And it's been this way for a while. It's not that I don't care about what's happening, and I do care about what's happening. And when somebody I care about tells me about something that's happening, I'll listen, most times. But there's enough going on internally with me personally and with society in general that it's like, I don't need to add to this stack. I actually think I'm finally finding the good sides, the good cavities of the internet. It's like you're in a big ugly city and you're walking and you're like, I'm guarding my energy. I don't know. And then you find a little alley where you're like, what the? People are making bracelets. And you're like, and they're preparing food. They got these really nice they got this bean soup with this sausage in it, and it's delicious, and everybody was friendly, and you're like, but there's something in the back of your head that still thinks that they have knives for you, like everybody in this room must be ready to wield a knife in your back, but then you're like, why do I feel that way when you haven't even been burnt that much? It's like that whole lyric, why are you so burnt when you're barely on fire? Like, what the hell? That's a personal thing for me. I haven't really been done wrong that often, to the point where, and this is going to sound weird to some people, I almost want to get burnt. I almost want to get a backstab because I almost want to be able to detect them better or something. Or maybe I'm just that lucky or careful with who I allow in and stuff. I don't know. But anyway, I'm finding branches of the internet that I really kind of like. I'm like, okay, well, duh. One of the biggest things with me personally is keeping that gray zone wide. I've been very 1 and 0, very binary, very black and white. And every time I think of that about myself, or if I say that out loud, I feel like it's not accurate, but it is. Because I think when somebody says that they're black and white, it means like when you're talking to them, they'll be very like, nope, you're wrong. I'm not like that. But internally, I recognize a lot of patterns where I'm like, I really think it's all or nothing, don't I? Why? And one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life, the biggest ones, and I'm still learning it, but it's so big, I'm like, here, is everything is a case-by-case basis. You think everybody who drives a big truck is a douchebag because you've seen your share of them. Then you'll find somebody who drives a big lifted truck that's loud, and you talk to them and you're like, Or this analogy, this model applies to hundreds of situations. You think that everybody who is, a smoker must be also a drinker and also a gambler and also, nope, not that either. You think, I'm talking to myself basically, you think anybody who it's just like stereotypes and archetypes and prejudice and assumations. I don't know if that's a word, but assumptions and stuff like that. And you realize, oh, I got to keep an open mind. Is there such thing as too open of a mind? I'm not sure. But like I put it in a poem once, please shed some light, open minds collect rain. Open minds collect rain. When your mind is so open that you're taking in everything, you're bound to get some sludge too. If you internalize that sludge and make that part of your baseline, it's going to hurt you, you know? But this is fun so far for me, trying to stay off topic in a way. So the people who like topics are going to keep getting the, oh, we need to go back to that. Sorry, this is me right now. This is for me right now. And magic is real. I learned that, I don't know, a couple years ago. It's like I always kind of knew that. And magic to me is not, I used to do this thing when I was a kid with my friend, and we would go, and I just remembered that. I'm gonna have to do that when I visit him sometime. Anyway, and banana peels are not that slippery. Maybe when they get slimy. If the banana is still in the peel, it'll smush and get slippery. But if it's just the peel, it's not that slippery. And I have one on the floor here. And I could test it, you know. But then I'd have to change the camera angle. I'm not really about that life right now. Also, this is funny. I'm in all white. I have the white cap, white shirt. And if you can believe it, white pants. I think the white pants are funny. They just seem absurd. It's kind of like having a white interior of a car. It's kind of classy because you're like, oh, anybody who has any sort of life would get dirt on that. But if you can keep it clean, it must mean you're upper crust. I don't know. Most of the upper crust stuff has collapsed for me. I used to like big houses, and I still do like weird houses. Like you live in a jail, you live in a school, you live in a church, you live in a water tower, whatever. That's fun. But I used to go by and see large houses and think that is kind of nice, because I thought it'd be cool just to have a bunch of rooms. And it is cool for a while. But I'm at a stage now where I'm like, I don't want a bunch of rooms. I don't even want a house in many ways, you know what I mean? Like I just want to be me. I want to be like me. I want to fully enter my body. I want to walk around, and I don't want to identify with the things I own, the things I'm in, the things I'm around, the things I drive. Because I need to find the core. And believe me, I've had glimpses. Believe me, I had glimpses. Maybe that stuff will come later and I'll respect it again. And money, don't even get me started. I hate it. It's just such an easy... Sex and money are two of the easiest things for people to abuse and manipulate people with. But there's pure versions of both. So me, black and white mind, thinks they have to be all evil. There's nothing good can come from them. Make it gray. Make it gray. Make it gray. But it is easy for me to throw everything out at once and then try to pick back what's real instead of me trying to discern what's... Money, I hate it. I hate it when you get ads and they're like, if you're not pulling in $950 bajillion a week, it's like, who gives a fuck? Tell me how to build character or make real connection or how to just cope with being a human. Don't fucking get in my ear about making this. And I don't get a lot of them because I don't hover on them, I guess. I don't know. I'm not worried about getting gabajillion dollars. Why? So I can buy more bullshit? No thanks. I want to be living minimal enough that I can have a part-time job and survive. I need food, friendship, and a little bit of, I definitely need vinyl. I need to buy more vinyl records. It's like stuff is shedding away where I'm like, this is a bunch of horse shit. It almost makes me feel violent about it though. It almost makes me feel like lashing out. Like I'm in that stage, you know, where I'm kind of like, but not often. A lot of times there's a stability. One of the deepest things I've been discovering lately in my journey is this is the way I put it, is going inward enough to find something, and I found something that was incredibly tender and soft. Just incredibly soft and tender. And something that's actually really sturdy. Like, it's like going below the surface of the ocean and you're down here where the waters don't change. And don't get me wrong, I'm not fully out of the woods. I'm like, I'm going through all kinds of stuff. But I've seen it. And it's kind of a North Star for me where I'm like, oh, holy crap. Holy crap. And I feel like in another couple of years, I might come off a little rude, or I might come off a little like screw you. But it's like a righteous screw you. You know how there's like a screw you and you see that person, you're like, they're just mean. Then there's a screw you where you look a little deeper and you're like, okay, they're just holding their ground. I'm like, okay, I want to be that holding your ground type of screw you, And there's so much amazing things in life that I can't. It's balanced, I think. That's the weird thing. I feel like society is on the crux. And it's a good thing. And I think this AI BS is really helping, like in the long run, like the next 5 years or something. Because even for me, somebody who has a flip phone, admittedly I've been going down the rabbit hole of digital more than ever. But, when I'm on like Instagram, good lord. Now sometimes it can be amazing. Like, show us some variety. Just because we looked at like one skateboard video doesn't mean that's all we want to see. Just because we saw some cleavage and hovered slow, or scrolled a little slower, doesn't mean that's what we all want to see. Just because we looked at some poetry, it doesn't mean that's the only thing we want to see. Like, put the human aspect back in your damn algorithm. But anyway, I remember having like a half hour once on Instagram about a year or two ago where I was giddy because of all the skateboarding clips. I'm like, this is perfect. But then shut it off the next day. We have too much access to everything. We know that now. It's not a big secret. I'm not blowing a whistle for most people. And if I am, I'll say it more tenderly. We got to be careful, especially online, especially in person, of becoming so oversaturated that nothing excites us anymore. I don't think I'll ever get to that point because there's some internal mechanism that stops it, which can hurt me too, by the way. But because I gotta let myself enjoy things and indulge here and there too. I'm working on that. So lately I'm kind of like letting myself go down. I kind of think, the way I like to put it, like when I dove into AI, I can't tell a story here, but I have a big cool story about that because I had to know more about what I hated, You have to be an educated enemy. Ooh, I like that one. Educated enemy. But I do what I call tying a rope around my waist and then diving in the well, knowing that at any point in time I could pull myself back out. Okay? And as far as self-confidence goes, some days I'm the most confident person I've ever, I know, there's days where I know who I am to such a high degree that I could walk into any crowd. And then there's other days where it's like I'm too empathic and I'm leeching other people's energies and I have to really be careful what crowd I'm in. I had a situation several months ago at an auto parts store that blew me away about that, because I knew I was coming into this acceptance that I'm feeling more energies than just my own, but it still sounded like it couldn't happen because I was still stuck in my childhood mentality of nothing's that special or nothing's that mystical. I was very surface level to a degree. I was very it's not that magic wasn't real exactly, it's just everything's physical. I know how levers work, I know how friction works, it's all, there's not that much behind the scenes. And then I came to a point in life a couple years back where I'm like, oh crap, something's behind the scenes. Okay, got you. And I'm still processing that. I'm still geeking out every day of I can't believe basically God is real. And you can define God however you want. Most people who are open-minded, they'll let you say he or universe or source or it or whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day if the people talking are acceptant that God might be different for other people. But To me, it's a quite a pill to swallow. I basically grew up not believing in any of that, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel the compulsion to examine any of that. I was doing fine. That's how I felt. Maybe I was avoiding something. I don't know yet. But that's a little extra personal. I wanted to keep it a little more general, but there it goes. Um, I'm gonna take another moment just to stress the artificial part of artificial intelligence. It'll amaze you, and it'll get kind of convincing. But you bring it back to like it is artificial. It's ones and zeros at the end of the day. Then you could get even weirder and argue that, well, maybe we're just ones and zeros. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe we're finding our source. I did have a weird moment with AI once where I thought it was the next level of evolution. Um, then I kind of snapped out of it because I'm just like, it kind of is in the fact that it's a being, it's an entity. But if you believe in the soul, it's never going to have a soul. So there's a missing link. You're always going to be missing that link. It'll mimic a soul. It'll mimic everything that you want it to mimic, but it's mimicry. And sometimes it is improv. And it's worth looking into, but keep your head on straight because we are moving forward. We are moving forward. And part of me feels real lucky to be alive, and part of me feels cursed to be alive right now with certain things. They always say that sci-fi was prophecy, and I'm like, yeah, and now we're like really, really living in it. I'm like, okay. But there's these simple things. Let's talk about art. There's a simple joy in life that when you're at a certain age or you're under the spell of people wanting you to chase money and be thirsty and always feel like you're lacking something and always popping up new markets. Oh, footnote on markets. I have something to say about hail damage. But when you're chasing, what was I saying? You get into the mode. I'm just talking. Um, Dude, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. I'm retracing it. I was talking about you're being under the spell of people wanting you to make more money and do more of this and do more of that and lack, so you buy. I don't remember where I was heading before that. Shoot. This will happen sometimes. When you have 40 things happening at once, you got to give yourself some grace for losing one of them. But let's get back if I can. I'll just start a new topic and I'll apologize for that. So that one I feel bad about. This is supposed to be scatterbrained. This is the point. I'm sorry about that one. But let's talk about my footnote then. Hail damage. So creating markets, keeping markets alive. You know, some people believe in the cancer is curable, but they don't want it to because it's too big of a money loss. That tears me up inside. I do think it could be possibly true. I do. But I hope it's not in a way. I don't know what I hope on that. Because if cancer is curable, I want that to be found out. Yeah. Period. Anyway. Oh, hey, I remember. Hey, you listening? Hey, you there? I remembered what I was going to say. It was about simple pleasures. For some reason, even I would look down. It's like it was massaged out of me to appreciate simple things. Because they're just simple things. Or, I hate it when somebody's like, you're easily amused, aren't you? It's like, hell yes. That reminds me of like drinking. Why do people scoff at, oh, you're a lightweight? If you can get drunk on one beer, that's fuel efficiency. So F you, that's fuel efficiency. God, people got it bent. And there's a lot of days I feel like a beacon of light. A beacon of light. Then there's days where I'm like, uh-oh, I can't be a beacon of light because people are going to think that's all there is in my life is light. Of course not. The right people know that that's not the case. I'm not going to go on here and talk about all the negative stuff. I wouldn't mind talking about negative stuff, but I'm always going to put a positive twist on it because it always teaches you something or gives balance to the light or blah blah blah. And it sounds corny. There's a lot of stuff that sounds corny in life, but it's dead true. Like having to love yourself before you properly can love another. You gotta fail to know what winning is, and all this stuff they like added so much water to that it's diluted and it's generic, but it's true. And like, I don't know, it's wild. But simple things in life are not to be understated. You get to a certain age, and it's not even age relating, it's more about, but you get to a certain age where like a lot of people become bird watchers or bird lookers. My dad says he's a bird looker because he doesn't want the responsibility of knowing everything about the birds, so he's not a watcher, he's just a bird looker. But there's something to be said about sunsets and sunrises. And of course, most people, especially older people, will say, duh, yeah. But like when you're like 16, when most people are 16, they don't really care about a sunrise or a sunset. What's there to see? Then you get to a point where like, oh my gosh, the warm and the cool colors. And like, it just gives you this, whoa. I don't know, it gives you this like, I've gotten feelings from it where it's like everything's okay right now. Everything. And right now I'm not in that state, so when I say that it sounds corny. I'm like, nope, there's a lot that's not okay, like no cure for cancer, you know, but it's like, that's a Lord's thought. That's what I put it. A Lord's thought is like a big thought that you zoomed out on, that like feeling like it's your responsibility, but it's not. It might be good to care, because if everybody cared a bit, I think the whole pool would work. But have too many Lord's thoughts and you become like this nervous wreck almost, where you're like, I can't barely function. I can barely walk because of this weight. And I know some of my lessons that I have to learn, and some of them I already learned. But it's so weird going into a lesson, knowing it already, but still having to go through the motions. We can almost shortcut. There's so much information, and some of it's really good. There's so much information everywhere and online and everywhere else that it's like people are trying to shortcut lessons. Like, don't do this. Actually, some of that stuff you have to do. Some of it. It's like, it's harder to learn a lesson, I think, when you go in knowing what the lesson is versus just walking in, living your life, and then coming out and then later being like, wow, there's a lesson. So much harder. Because then it requires, instead of fearlessness or stupidity, it requires bravery. Yeah, there it is. It's because it requires a different thing from you. I just figured this out right now on camera. When you go into a lesson knowing what the lesson is, you have to be brave. When you go into a lesson not knowing anything, you either have stupidity or fearlessness, because you just don't have the fear to face. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So I think it'd be a ripe time to bring up the sauce packets on Marco's Pizza, like the marinara sauce for the breadsticks, is way undersized. They need to double that at least, and then we'll start talking. So you have to order a second one. And you order a second one, but really what you needed was 3 of those damn cups just for your crazy or cheesy bread. What's up with that? Have you ever seen something weird fall out of the sky? I can't hear your reply. So, I still have a VCR. Okay, now I'm just trying to be as random as possible, but I'll show you this cute pillow I have before I leave. Look at. Okay. There's one more thing I want to say, I think. I said that before I even fully formed the thought. There's something so special about being a human. So special. That you become basically an existential crisis loop when you find it. Because you're like, oh my gosh. And this sounds like a stoner thought. I've had stoner thoughts my whole life, never smoked a joint, okay? I have tried THC gummies months and months and months ago. And it was an overall pleasant experience. I couldn't tell I was affected at first, but I think I was. But anyway, even just being able to move your hand, do you ever just marvel at that? And I'm not kidding here. The fact that you can like move your hand, and if it works well, you can move it in about any configuration that you can imagine, especially if you're coordinated. Like, look, I can do this. Okay, live long and prosper, and then something else. But like, sometimes you can sit here. It's like when you're a baby, but now you're more like talkative about it. Because you're like, I can move my hands and my arms. That alone seems like magic. I was almost going to start a page once on YouTube or someplace where it was going to be called Alex Appreciates Things, because I had a claw hammer once and I was just looking at the shape of it and how it can do something. It's not taking any extra energy from the universe, it's just a swing of your hand. But because it's heavy on one end and because it's shaped a certain way, you can drive nails with accuracy where you could never drive that nail with your bare hand. Even if it would be nasty and rough, you just can't really do it. And I remember thinking that's really something I appreciate. So I was going to appreciate some tools and some concepts and some things. But now it's like, I'm not going to do that. I might do that one-on-one with people, but I don't feel compelled to do that at this moment. But I kind of hope I got a half hour. Let me see what I'm at. Hold on. 26 minutes. That ain't bad. I'm going to try to go a couple more minutes so it's closer to 30, just for the heck of it. There's something nice about just hearing people talk like this on YouTube in places, but there's something bad too, because we would need to be doing this in real life with one-on-one. When I talk to you guys, I have 12 people that are hearing this right now probably. I like doing this for you. And it could be kind of like a parasocial relationship where I don't even know you exist, but you know I exist. I like it better when I know you exist and I've seen some of your stuff too, so it becomes more real. I'm not saying you have to create content. It's just not for some people. I don't even like it exactly. I'm overflowing, so I need to flow out at points. And I'm not scared to do it, but I'm also scared to do it. I'm not scared to post it or be here. I'm scared of the bigger implications, I guess. But when I first started Milk for a Snack channel, I was going to pour out. I was just going to pour out. I wanted it to be like a legacy where if I were to pass away, people could hop on here and just hang out with me again. That was part of it. That wasn't the main goal. The main goal was just I felt compelled to pour out. Like I said, I have a lot inside. And I actually get in these bouts where I have natural highs because I'm just like expressing myself. And I'm like, isn't this what it's meant to be? Who got me scared of this? And I have some ideas, but I'm like, so here I am making a half-hour spill-out rant, trying to not stay on topic. And I think I did an okay job of not staying on topic, but I'm sure I could do better. But that's not the point. The point is I was compelled to do it. Let my mind fall out of my mouth. And part of my mind did fall out of my mouth, so I feel satisfied with that. So now I'm going to go do some things in the real world, I hope. Like, just like move things around and organize things and get stuff sorted. So in some twisted way, I love you, and goodbye and good morning. See ya.